Hi, and welcome to the Day One Podcast. My name is Simon Moran, and today I have the ultimate pleasure of sitting down with Mr. Grant Cardone. How are you doing today?
Good to be with you, man. Great to be with you.
Awesome. How was your travel into Scottsdale?
It was good. It's always good on 10X Airlines. You know, I know the flight attendant, the pilots. They don't give me a hard time.
Makes it easy.
Yeah.
So, what are you doing in town in Arizona?
I'm speaking to the police department today. I'm speaking, and also the fire department, first responders.
Okay, awesome.
I do another interview at 1 o'clock today, and then I speak at Impact Players for about 1,700 people this afternoon.
Wow. Nice. So to break it down, the Day One Podcast really takes entrepreneurs, business owners, community leaders, and takes them back to day one in their proverbial journey.
Okay.
And then we work through.
Why does anybody want to go back to day one, man? Jesus.
I know, honestly. But then we talk through their experiences. They give us a little insight and tell us about their journey a little bit. So to start off, tell us a little bit about your childhood and how that shaped you to where you are today.
You know, my childhood, I was brought up in a middle class family. It was a lot of love in my family, and I was the fourth and fifth kid. I'm an identical twin, so we were the last of five, and we lived in a 1,400 square foot house, 7 people. My dad worked hard. My mom was taking care of the house. She was the 50s housewife, mother. And my dad died when I was 10. He was 52. He died very young. 52 is young.
Definitely, yeah.
And so he was busting his ass. Finally got his dream house this really shaped me a bunch.
Sure.
What's about to happen? I didn't know. You don't know what's shaping you until much later in life. You just know something happened. But in this case, what happened was my dad died. My mother sold the house, his dream house. I mean, it was a cool house. It was on the lake in Lake Charles, Louisiana. To us, we had oh my God, my dad was telling my mom, man, not bad for a country boy, huh? I made it. Like he had come from nothing. His family, his parents were Italian. They came over on a ship. So to him, they had made it. The fact that we had 1.5 acres of land and we were on the lake, and I mean, I look back at that house today, I'm like, we're looking at refineries, right? But it was cool. It was a cool deal for him. And then when he died, my mom had to sell the house the next week because she couldn't keep it up.
Right.
Even though it was paid for. This really becomes really, really valuable data for me into who I am. And then my mom shifts into fear when she should have been in grief. She was in I could tell that there was an angst about money.
Certainly.
So that's when I learned about Social Security, because she was getting a check every quarter or every month maybe. AT&T dividend stock she depended on, but she didn't know how to make money. And so from the age of 10 to 16, I could feel this thing about uncertainty about finances. Even though it's not like we wanted for anything. We had food and a car,
right,
to go places, and college was maybe a possibility, which I look back on that now. I'm like, but I could feel this thing. By the time I was 16, I was so frustrated because I couldn't help her, and I wanted to be able to do something about it. I couldn't, and so I think a lot of that shaped. What my understanding of finance is as I look back later as an entrepreneur.
So you went to college.
Yeah. I did go to college. Well, the first thing I did was I got on drugs.
Right.
At 16, I ended on this drug route for 9 years, from 16 to 25. Finished high school, spent 5 years in college, getting an accounting degree, on drugs every single day. I shouldn't have gone to college. I think if I'd have gotten out of college, if I'd have quit college after the first year, I'd either be dead today or I'd be a billionaire.
Yeah.
So I think it would have helped me not to be in college. I think actually I would have got off the drugs sooner.
Right.
Had I not been in college, because I think I was using the drugs as a way to escape this prison that I was in, this idea that I had to go to college. I didn't want to be there. I got out. I mean, I got out with, I don't even know what my grades were, but I didn't want to be there,
Right.
And I was bored. And when I'm bored, everywhere I look at my life, if I look back, whether it was business or personal life, if I'm bored, I get in trouble. I do stupid stuff. And from 16 to 25, I did stupid stuff every day.
So when did that final no come for you? When was it? I'm done with this.
Yeah,
I'm ready to move on.
I finished college when I was 23. I would use drugs for another 2 years. And the final was when my mother said, hey, enough. Don't come around me. Don't hang out. You're not welcomed here. Don't come to the house. Don't come to the, she had this little bar business. Don't come here. Nothing. I want nothing to do with you until you clean up. I went to treatment 30 days later, and that's when my life turned around.
And so coming out of treatment, were you walking into a job? Did you have experience beforehand?
I had a job that I had lost 6 jobs prior to this. A lot of people don't know this, but I was fired from McDonald's, a refinery job, a fisher's job, offshore job where I was out on a boat, clothing job.
And this was all Louisiana
salesman,
then?
Furniture salesman,
Yeah.
like I was known in my town as the loser kid, is the kid that had potential. I mean, people knew me as a guy that came from a good family. I didn't have anybody to blame.
Right.
Like other kids have people to blame. Like there's kids out there that are like, you got plenty of reasons to be a loser. I didn't have any reasons, and I was a loser.
Yeah.
So my grades were bad. My track record was terrible. Nobody believed in my family. I was the black sheep of my family. Like even my family was like a little bit like, So, and on top of that, I hated me, Simon. Like forget the drugs. Like drugs are one thing, dude. I hated myself so much. Every day I woke up, I looked in the mirror, and I hated myself.
So obviously that wasn't a quick switch to where you are today.
That was 9 years, almost 10 years of trying to quit drugs every day.
Yeah.
Every day having to confront I'm a loser. I knew I had the potential to be somebody. I've always thought I think everybody has the potential to be somebody. I knew for sure I did. But it was so buried in confusion and boredom and no direction and no guidance, and then throw the drugs on top of that. The drugs aren't the underneath thing. It's what's the thing about the camel, the straw, the camel's back, and all that.
Yeah.
The drugs were just like piled on top of all the other stuff. So first I had to stop the drugs. And then I had to start recovering. Okay, who am I? Like, who am I? Do I believe in me? And so I did have a job to go back to. I was working for a car dealer. He says, hey, come back. So I didn't like the job. I didn't want to work there. I didn't want to be a car salesman. But he took me back. So I'm like, nobody else is going to hire me. So I went back to work there.
So how did your experience as a car salesman transition into some of the companies you're running today?
Well, what happened was I don't think it was about the car sales so much as it could have been anything. It could have been if I'd have been on Wall Street or anything that I could have thrown myself into. I could have been selling vacuum cleaners, Cutco knives. I could have been in network marketing. That question you're asking me really kind of shapes the entrepreneur thing because that industry helped me, but it also would later hurt me a lot.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, it gave me a place to go to work every day. The thing about retail was that like you could spend a lot of hours in retail. The thing that everybody hates saved my life.
Yeah.
Because I had this drug problem and I had never been 30 days without using drugs. So when I was in the treatment center, that was one thing because I had the supervision and a bunch of people around me. Mm-hmm. So, and everybody's saying, don't use drugs. Like you got a bit of a cult.
Right.
Saying don't use drugs. So I'm like, okay, I'm in the club now. I'm not going to use drugs. But when I got out, dude, it was all gone.
Okay.
I didn't have anybody. So I was terrified every day. So what I did was I just took the addiction, that addictive quality, that quality, not defect that I had, and I just threw it into the sales thing. And interesting enough, because I hated sales, but the truth is I hated drugs too.
Yeah.
And I just threw myself into the sales game. So I would get there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd stay there till like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Everybody was gone but me. I'm in there making phone calls, calling people, planning the next day, practicing, training, role playing. And I got good. In 30 days, I was, I'm like, hey, I could be a good salesman. this could be I thought I was going to be a professional car salesman the rest of my career.
Right.
26 years old. By the time I'm 27, I'm in the top 1% of all the car salesmen in the United States. I'm like, I'm going to be a professional car salesman the rest of my life. I'm not thinking about a car dealership. I'm not thinking about writing books. None of that yet. I had some of those ideas in my head, right? But I wasn't in the beginning thinking of the stuff that I'm doing today.
Right. When you were younger, though, did you have certain aspirations on what you wanted to do?
It's a great question because I remember my dad did calligraphy. I guess I was 6 or so.
Right.
And my dad loved to write. And I had this idea, I want to be a writer one day. I don't know how people make these decisions, but I remember thinking, I'm going to write books one day.
Okay.
I always enjoyed writing.
Yeah. And so transitioning from the car salesman, when did you finally start your first company and what was that looking like for you?
Yeah, so, a lot of things happen in life that you don't like that end up being good things. And one day I was working for this car dealer, same guy that when I got out of treatment. And at this point, I'm extremely productive. Like the place depends on my production.
Okay.
And I'm the leader. I'm the leader of the company, even though I'm not a manager. And I go to him one day and say, look, this guy that's running this place is stealing from you. And he's like, mind your own business. I said, excuse me? And he's like, mind your own business. And I was enough of a diva now to be like, yeah, okay, I'll go mind my own business. And I walked across, got in my office, packed up my shit, walked out, and never walked back in again. Wow. I was 29 years old, didn't have a job, didn't know what I was going to do. They ended up losing their company. They had 2 car dealerships, lost them both within 9 months. And I was, for the first time in 5 years, trying to figure out, okay, what am I doing now? I was fully recovered from drug addiction. Like there was no, at the time there was a 99% chance I wasn't going to end up in drugs again. I was on solid ground finally.
Okay, yeah.
Starting to get a little bit of money. I had a little bit of money put away, maybe, I don't know, 60, 70 grand saved away. So I'm starting to have a little bit of confidence in life, right? And I know I can sell now. Now right. I know, hey, dude, you could drop me anywhere, give me any product. I know how to create a funnel of people to talk to, how to present a product. I can do it honest. I don't have to cheat people. I don't have to rip anybody off. So what happened now was a company asked me to go, because of my sales production, asked me if I would be interested in traveling around the country, training people how to sell. And so I did that. That was my first start. It was just a total accident, dude. Like the career that I have today.
Right. So you happened into it and then you stuck with it and it kept growing.
Yeah, I stuck with that. Went to work for this guy and I started doing sales training for him all around actually mostly in Canada. And saw that there was a business and an opportunity there. And I would go call on people. I'd go train a company.
Okay.
And then when I was done training them, I'd go call on other businesses and say, hey, look, I'm in town. I'm in Regina, Saskatoon. I'm in Nova Scotia. I'm in Winnipeg. I'd never traveled before this.
Okay.
And, I could come to your company and do for you what I was doing for those guys. So I started building a business with this other guy. A year and a half later, I'm like, there's no place for me to go here. I mean, I'm not going to get part of the company.
Right.
I was a top producer for this guy. And I said, dude, you got to give me something here. I wanted to do some other things too. I wanted to write my own programs. And I had my own ideas about how to do things. So I ended up leaving him, started my own business. And then this is when it goes back to that first days of being an entrepreneur.
Sure.
Up until this point, I'm not an entrepreneur yet.
Okay, cool. So once you started that first company, and obviously these were some of your formative years then as far as learning how to get to that day one, essentially. So how did you learn to really be a leader that you are today in your company and really drive a positive company culture with your employees?
I don't know. I don't know how I don't know how I learned how to be a leader, dude. Like I was a leader when I was in drugs.
Right.
I was a leader. I was like, let's do some drugs, guys.
But how do you approach it and fire people up and get people excited to do what they want to do?
It just takes time. Like I don't think leadership. My friend John Maxwell. I mean, he's the leadership guru, but I asked him in front of 35,000 people. I said, dude, I don't even consider myself a leader. He's like, excuse me. He looked around the room. He's like, 35,000 people are here, bro. Like, I'm like, yeah, but I'm not trying to lead anybody. I'm just trying to lead me.
Okay.
Like since I was, recovering from my drug problem was like, I'm just trying to lead me out.
Sure.
Even when I was 10 years old, I was just I wanted to be 10 years old. I wanted to lead my family. I wanted to take care of my mom.
Right.
And if that's leadership, I don't see it as leadership. I just see it as like, I'm just trying to provide.
Okay.
And I'm trying to be a good example for me. Most of the time, I'm just trying to lead me somewhere.
So how do you prioritize that action for you? What does day-to-day look like for you? And what are you working towards?
Yeah. Well, then or now?
Now.
Oh, now? I mean, dude, now we're on steroids. I mean, it's like, it's stupid now. So then it's just like, I'm just trying to pay bills and bank some money.
Okay.
So in the beginning, I'm going to answer this two ways. Okay. One is back then, okay, I got 60 or 70,000 bucks. I started a business. The first 3 years, I made 30 grand a year that I was in business. That's why when you said, hey, we in this show, we bring people back to the first, what would you say?
Day one.
Day one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, nobody wants to go back to day one. My day one lasted for 3 years.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what I was doing. I had no plan. I had no mentors. I had no coaches. I had no examples. There was no Instagram. There was nothing, dude. There was no place I couldn't tap into other people. There was no masterminds going on at that time. And maybe there was, but I didn't know about them. Mm-hmm. And so everything's trial and error. I'm terrified every day. I'm going through money, but I'm like, okay, I don't know what else to do. I do like helping people. I've always liked helping people. Helping people has always helped me.
Sure.
So back then it was just like, okay, I need to bank some money. I need to make some money. I need to get off this 30 grand. I was making 100 grand selling cars and now I'm making 30 grand. I got to get back to making money. So first thing I did was handle that. Really the whole time again, it goes back to leading me out.
Okay. Yeah. And
when people meet me today, they're like, dude, you're the same guy. Whether you're doing the podcast, on stage, or in the office. I'm the same guy all the time. All the time I'm just, there's no new Grant you meet. You don't get another flavor of Grant,
right.
No matter where we are. So today, like then, I'm always trying to fund, F-U-N-D, some activity. So back then it was like, I'm trying to fund my next business. Okay, I'm trying to fund a little freedom. I'm trying to fund a cushion. Then it was 33, 34. I'm trying to fund my first apartment deal. Today, we're funding a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So how do I go about prioritizing my day? I just kind of lead myself to those things that are going to take care of the next project.
Okay. And so what advice would you give, having learned what you did starting back in your late 20s, early 30s, starting up making those first couple, $30,000 a year? What would you say to someone who's in that position now? What's that first step for them, whether they're in a 9 to 5
Get your
job?
money right, man. Get your money right. You need to get your money right. Not enough people are telling people. I hear everybody saying, oh, man, you do the things you love and get your money right. You got to get your money right. If you don't get your money right, just what are you doing? Like,
sure.
This idea that you're going to run a business and not monetize is insanity. Unless you got a daddy. Most of us don't have a daddy taking care of us. I didn't have a dad. I had some guy hit me on Instagram the other day. He's like, oh, you wouldn't have anything if your daddy didn't give you a start. I'm like, dude, I didn't even have a daddy.
Right.
Like if you're going to hate on me, at least get the facts right. So people need to fund their activities. And I think that's one thing that has made, helped me be successful is that whether I'm doing a new business or an old business that's mature, the first thing I'm thinking about, how do I drive traffic? I have this t-shirt that says, who's got my money? How do I drive traffic?
Okay. How
do I drive traffic to an idea? And then how do I fund that idea as quickly as possible? Regardless of whether I'm ready. I'm trying to close the gap between the idea and the moment of monetization. And I do that because the biggest mistake I made when I started my business, I don't know why my nose is itching so bad right now, but when I started my first business, it took me probably 11 months to call on my first prospect.
Okay.
I was terrified.
Sure.
And I remember my twin brother I called my twin brother. I was calling him all the time. He was in Houston. I had moved to Houston. And so I call him up. He's like, hey, man, quit calling me. Okay, you've been here 3 or 4 months now. Go call on somebody that will buy your product.
Right.
And I took 9 months, maybe 10 months, maybe 11 months before I ever called on one person. It was stupid. As soon as I called on somebody, they gave me money. It was ridiculous. So now today, when we have an idea for a business, me and Brandon Dawson, who lives right here in the same complex, we had an idea for a business. I'm like, okay, how fast can we monetize this idea?
Right.
Because that gives me, when somebody gives you money, dude, the momentum for the idea, money is the ultimate acknowledgement that the idea is good.
And so as part of your mission today with the sales training programs and Cardone Capital is to essentially help others get their money right. So,
there's a good question. There's a lot of, we basically have, there's this little booklet right here, the millionaire booklet. This booklet was created for people that don't have any money.
Okay. So
there's, probably 40% of the entire world population has no money. They're broke. So I'm interested in that person. I'm interested in all these people. So I'm interested in the guy that doesn't have any money. Then I'm interested in the next guy, 35-year-old Grant. Oh, he's got $1 million put away.
Okay.
Or he's got a couple $100,000, or he's got 80,000. He's trying to figure out how to grow it. That's where Cardone University comes in and shows somebody how to build that out.
Sure.
A guy can get that for free. This is in 38 languages. You can go to a website, grantcardone.com/global. You could be in Africa. A kid in Africa cannot afford 10 cents for this book. He can't afford the shipping. So the whole shipping thing, oh my God, let's go shipping and you're going to pay for the ads. Dude, that guy can't afford anything in Nigeria. That's why I got a Nigerian following, because we don't ship books there. He can go to a link, grab it in his language, Zulu. If it's Zulu, if Zulu's his language, it's in Zulu.
Sure.
So anyway, that's for him, right? And then there's the person that that's making 80 grand, or he's got maybe he's finally put $20,000 away. Every day I got somebody saying, hey, what do I do with $5,000? How do I invest $5 grand?
Right.
So that person needs some advice. Then there's the guy that has $1 million. Then there's the guy that's got 10 million. Then there's the rich dudes that are like, they think they got it. They got 3 or 4 homes. They got one in Portland, one in Phoenix, one in Miami. They're rich guys, right? But they're screwed up, dude. They don't know what they're doing with money. There's Floyd Mayweather that I met with this weekend. That's got all this dough coming in and all this dough going out, right? So I want to help all those people. Cardone Capital was created to help people with the third problem people have with money. Most people don't know how to get money. Number two, people don't know how to keep it once they do get it. And then there's a group of people that know how to keep it, but number 3, they don't know how to get money to multiply for itself. They know how to work hard like I did, but they don't know how to get money to make babies. And so Cardone Capital is really to help people that don't have the time or the energy or the data, the content, the deals.
And then you're investing a lot in multifamily deals throughout the country then?
Yeah, this morning I was driving around town just looking at multifamily.
Nice
I love this market. I love this market so much. So we buy large apartment complexes, like 280 to 300 unit complexes, sometimes up to 600 units. We got $1.2 billion of assets under management right now, 6,000 apartments. So this will end up being the biggest business I've ever done.
Sure. Well, I also heard that you just started a marketing company as well, Cardone and Kern.
Yeah, Cardone Kern. We started Cardone Kern. We monetized Cardone Kern within 5 minutes of that idea.
Okay.
That's a perfect example. Frank Kern comes to me. Frank Kern's a wizard at marketing, right? And Frank's been studying me for, I don't know. He told me, he's like, dude, I've been watching you for like 5 or 6 years. He's like, I've known about you for like 15 years, but I've been really studying you for a while now. Frank didn't like me because Frank is a internet marketer guy. Okay. He's not a hard sell, or he says he's not. And he says he doesn't like selling. He's that guy on the internet that knows how to pull people in, because he doesn't know anything. And if it works for Frank, then it'll work for you. That's his deal, right?
Yeah.
And then he sees what I've been doing with social media. He thought social media in the beginning, he'll tell you this, it was a joke, right? He's like, there's no way, that's not going to work. And then he sees me and he doesn't like me, but he knows we're making a lot of money.
Right.
Frank's the one that says, hey, Grant Cardone makes more money on the internet than any other marketer on the internet today. I'll let you guys decide whether that's true or not. So Frank came to me and said, hey, I love what you're doing, man. I've been studying you for 18 months. I've seen, he's codified what we did to go from zero e-commerce to $40 million a year. Highly marginal business, very, very profitable. And so we created Cardone Kern. And what we're doing is we're using technology to basically drive traffic to small business owners, plumbers, contractors, masseuse, anybody that's got a small business, a brick and mortar, a real a hard company is the ideal target for us, a State Farm agency, a car dealer possibly,
right?
To drive traffic to their website and or to their front door.
And so are you fully invested in social media and everything internet, or do you also explore other ideas as far as advertising?
Look, if the space travel thing, I would definitely go to Mars if it drove traffic to my business.
Right.
Like I would spend $1 million, maybe $10 million to go to Mars or to go somewhere if I thought it would drive enough traffic. Any traffic. It doesn't even need to convert. That's the thing that me and Frank have always argued about. I'm like, it doesn't need to convert for me. I don't need to test whether it converts. I know it's going to convert at some point. If I communicate to that audience long enough with a great product that will solve people's problems, sooner or later, people want to exchange money with you for the services. So, yeah, we're about to go so white hot on the internet. It's going to be like you everywhere you will go, you will find me.
And then you're headquartered in Miami,
Florida.
We're in
Miami,
right?
Florida. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
What drove that decision? Because that's typically not the thing nowadays to be in Miami. It's the LA, the New York, the Chicago.
Yeah, but LA and New York they're dumps. They're fucking dumps. They're both going to go. I mean, they're both financially broke.
Right.
They're led by awful. There's awful leadership in both those markets. Housing's a problem for people there. People can't afford housing in New York or LA, and the politics are awful. The taxes are thievery, and so I lived in California for 25 years. I moved from Houston, 0 taxes, to California to pay 10. But when they went from 10 to 13.3, I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
I'm not going to do it to my people. I'm not going to do it to myself. I'm not going to do it to my money. So we moved 4 people to Miami. We had 4 people in Miami, in LA that we transferred to Miami. And we have 140 employees there now, 150 in the real estate.
Oh, yeah.
So we've gone from 4 people to 254 people.
And I know you're busy with all the businesses and stuff like that, but is there anything outside of business that you find as a mission or charities that you really like to get involved in?
Yeah, like the Kids Without Fathers is a huge issue, and first responders, like the work I'm doing with first responders here in town today. But Kids Without Fathers, there is, I didn't know this when I was a kid, but kids that grow up without dads are like 6 times more likely to have a criminal record, 3 times more likely to have, I might have those reversed, a drug problem, like 60% better chance of suicide, like almost every negative metric a kid, a boy or girl can go through. When there's a dad not present in the family, doesn't mean he's alive or dead, whatever. He's not present. He's not available, right? There's problems for kids.
Now that you experienced not having a father, looking at it today, how do you approach that relationship with your kids? I've seen that you're really dynamic online with Elena, your wife. How do you guys manage and really raise your kids nowadays? Now that you know that it's really important to have that figure in your life.
We've created our whole life around. People ask me how I get so much done. I'm like, because we created the life we want. I'm not managing work and time. Like I created the life I want. So all the equipment we need for the life we want, we have it. So again, this goes back to what you asked me earlier. How do you decide what's a priority?
Sure.
Whatever funds the activities. Okay, I want my kids with me. Well, if I'm going to travel, if I'm going to go to 9 countries in 34 days, I can't drag my kids. How do I do that? So we do the math on it. We don't say why we can't do stuff. That's the way I was brought up. We can't afford it. I say, how can I do it? What do I need to do to make sure I can drag 2 kids, a nanny, security, because it takes resources, right?
Definitely.
But it takes a much bigger thing now. See, I grew up where everybody was worried about what the bills were. And this is the trap. The trap is everybody's worried about their little game. My house payment, my taxes, my income, my whatever, right? Our food bill, our schooling. Everything's about the 4 or 5 people. This is what caused me so many problems. I wasn't thinking big enough my entire life. So I flew coach for 3 million miles. People don't know this. They see me flying in my own plane today and like, oh, this guy's got it made. I'm like, I flew 3 million miles in coach around the United States picking up money, trying to build my name. If I got an upgrade to first class, very seldom did I ever buy a first class ticket. I had to cross my fingers and wait for an upgrade because I was so cheap, dude. I was cheap because I was scared though. And I was trying to save money. And I was spending so much time trying to save money because that's what my dad did.
Sure.
So my dad saved money. My mom saved money. The environment I grew up in, everybody was frugal. Okay. There weren't any Mayweathers in my family. People weren't blowing money. People weren't buying Lamborghinis and H belts. And so I grew up extremely frugal, but to a default. I was so frugal, I didn't know how to use money. So about 7 or 8 years ago is when my whole life changed. Like everything, everything, I had the work ethic, man. I had good products, but I wasn't getting anywhere.
Right.
I wasn't busting out. So when we had the kids, my oldest kid's 10 years old, then we got confronted with, oh, okay, how do I travel? They're 10. I'm going to create the same situation my dad did. My dad was never home for us. And then he blows his heart up because he's stressed out and he's worried all the time. So I was going to end up with the same problem. So when I had the kids, I had to start confronting, okay, there's something about my program that I'm running on myself that is broken. So when I scrutinized, hey, what do I need? Quit. And this is where Elena really helped me. She's like, what do you need to have exactly what you want? I said, well, shit, I'd have to have a plane. You can't fly New Zealand Airlines, drag 5 or 6 people with you. Who wants to do that in coach? Yeah. Like I'm gonna kill myself back there, right? The amount of time I was spending with TSA and check-ins and schedules, and she's like, well, good. Let's make enough money so you can have a jet. And I'm like, nah, that's ridiculous. Freaking pissed me off so bad. Because she was like, because she doesn't have to do the work. I had to do the work. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. And then I started, but it hit me. Like, yeah, why am I thinking it's ridiculous?
Right.
Because I had money. Why wasn't I using the money to buy the resources so I could have the life I wanted? And so then I started thinking different. This was maybe 8 years ago. The last 8 years of my life has been like, that's why you're interviewing me today. You're interviewing me because of the 8 years, not because of the previous 30 years. I needed to do the 30 years before, or 22 years before that, to get to the 8 years. But anybody out there listening right now, look, you got to use money. Money is useless until it is used. So if you know how to make money, you know how to get money, and you know how to keep money, now what you have to learn how to do is how to use it and how not to misuse it. And most people that are listening right now, if you have any money put away, and that's not your problem, making money and keeping it's not your problem anymore, you don't know how to use it. I had equity in a house. I don't have any equity in a house anymore. I don't have a house. Okay, all my money's in my business. So when I get cash, I buy resources. I'll buy a jet before I'll buy a car. I'll buy jet fuel before I buy vehicle fuel. I need something that gets me to people, right? That gets me quickly while I can drag my kids with me. My kids can travel with me. The nanny can be with me. Security. We can go anywhere we want in the world.
Awesome.
And actually expand the name and the brand.
Okay. So in one of the last questions here, Over the next 10 years, what does it look like for Grant Cardone?
Well, I think Cardone Capital goes to $10 billion.
Is that a 10-year goal or is that
I think that's
sooner?
probably a 36-month goal.
Okay.
I think I can get to 10.
I think I saw you on Lewis Howes and he was really pushing you to
that
shrink
Cardone
that.
Capital wasn't even founded when Lewis said that. Lewis said, "Hey, I think I was doing at the time I was doing a $30 million deal or something." And Lewis was like, "Why don't you 10x it?" And I was like, "Huh?" He's like, "Why don't you just 10x that? Why don't you do 300 million?" I'm like, "You know what? It's a pretty good fucking idea, dude. Maybe I will." We just did $400 million worth of deals last month. So the thing about me is, you give me one piece of data, dude, I'm gonna kill it. I just need one piece of data. I'm always looking for one piece of data. When I get a book, I'm looking for one little thing, and then I just tap into that one thing. So that's why I'm so big on conferences and reading books and any information, even bad stuff. Even bad stuff helps me, okay, because it tells me what I don't want to do. So 10 years from now, Cardone Capital could be a $10 or $15 billion, $20 billion business. I think our Cardone University's already got 40 million logins, maybe 50 million logins now. That could, I'd love for that to be 500 million, 500 million people logged in.
Okay, and your travel schedule coming up is pretty hectic. Where can people meet with you over the next 2 months? Where are you going to be traveling to?
I'm going to be in Phoenix today, Dallas tomorrow, Saturday Atlanta, Sunday LA. Like like wherever you are, come out and meet me. Like everybody knows my schedule. I tell everybody where I am, when I'm there. We'll be in LA for about a week, and then I go to Australia. I go to Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, Auckland, and then we're going to start coming up through China to make some noise.
And where can people go to learn about Cardone Capital, Cardone Kern, and follow you on social media as well?
Well, if you're on social media, just put my name in. You'll find me. I'll probably pop up before you put my name in. And but to invest in Cardone Capital, we're about to close our fund out. We have four beautiful deals, $405 million worth of real estate in one fund. So it's a great diversification. It's passive income. CardoneCapital.com is the website. People can invest now. That's probably going to close in the next 7 or 8 days. When are you going to broadcast
this? This is actually be in the middle of August. So
it might be closed by the time this goes up. So we raised almost $1 million a day. Every day. Just think about that, dude. If I do crazy. That every day of the year, we only been raising money 18 months. Every day, 1.4 came in yesterday. So if I raise $1 million every day this year, that's $365 million. That's a third of $1 billion in cash.
That's awesome.
Every 300 million buys $1 billion worth of real estate. So I just got to do that I just got to warm this thing up. So CardoneCapital.com is where people can invest. This thing is gonna shock Wall Street. Blackstone and Goldman Sachs are gonna be like, what is this dude doing?
Yeah.
Okay, he's buying our assets. These are Blackstone quality assets. He's buying our assets and not using our money. That's the tricky thing here, because Blackstone or Goldman, they would love to lend me money on these deals, but I'm not using their money. I'm just going to everyday people saying, hey, why give them the money? Let me give it to you. I don't need to partner with them. I'll partner with my people that follow me online. So Cardone Capital is a big deal. If you want to find my event schedules at grantcardone.com/events. And dude, whatever people want to do. If they want to grab the book's free.
Awesome. Exciting. Grant Cardone, thank you very much, and keep 10Xing. Have a great day.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, guys.